I think, Abdullah, let's start.
Okay, great. Um, okay, hello everyone. So I'm going to start the introduction for this session. I will start by introducing myself. Then I will have a brief introduction about what atomcamp Arabia is. And then I will introduce Dr. Saba to you all. And then I will let her begin the session officially. So my name is Abdullah Hafid, and I'm an AI engineer at atomcamp Arabia. I'm a computer science graduate with a background in data science and iOS development. I have worked in projects such as traffic forecasting and energy anomaly classification, and I have also developed iOS applications. It is my pleasure to be your moderator this evening. I'll be guiding the flow of the session and helping with questions and answers. Before we begin, I would like to ask everyone to post their questions in the chat as we go along. We will address them after Dr. Sabah finishes her talk. Now, let me share a quick word about atomcamp Arabia. atomcamp Arabia is a training and solution platform dedicated to empowering individuals, businesses, and governments in Saudi Arabia to harness the potential of artificial intelligence and digital transformation. We deliver impact in two main areas. The first area is trainings. We design and deliver program in AI, data science, mobile, and web development. For example, we partnered with Ilm to train students from Medina in Android, iOS, and web development. We also ran a month-long AI bootcamp at Jazan University in partnership with MCIT, where students learned machine learning, computer vision, natural language processing, and no-code AI tools. In addition, we have collaborated with Twig Academy and other universities to provide sector-focused and foundational to advanced AI programs. The second area is solutions, where we design AI systems to tackle real-world challenges. This includes computer vision systems for quality inspection in manufacturing, real-time inventory tracking for warehouses, AI model for workplace safety, and demand forecasting tools for retail and supply chains. Our vision is to be Saudi Arabia's one-stop platform for learning and adopting AI, with a mission to train 20,000 Saudi youth by 2030, preparing them for the opportunities of the digital future. And now it is my honor to introduce today's speaker. Dr. Sabah is the CEO of Designing Schools and an AI strategist who focuses on helping leaders and organizations to design human-centered approaches to AI. She began her career as a high school teacher, later became the director of innovative learning at the University of Southern California, and then served as an education executive at Apple, where she worked with schools and organizations around the world. Today, through Designing School, she helps leaders move beyond simply experimenting with AI tools to building systems where AI becomes a teammate, enhancing creativity, streamlining workflows, and empowering people to face the future with confidence. In this session, she will be talking about how to use AI as a teammate, sharing strategies for moving from experimenting with AI to leading with it in a meaningful and human-centered way. Before I hand it over, I would like to ask you once again to share your questions in the chat. We will go through them after Dr. Sabah finishes her talk. I will now hand it over to Dr. Sabah to begin her talk. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm so looking forward to being here for this series. Like we kind of shared, this is definitely not just kind of like, one. It's going to be a series, and I'm going to walk you through some slides today. And I also have some, let's see, can everybody see the slides? Yes. Oh, okay. Fantastic. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So yeah, so I want to walk through some of these today, just some of these core ideas for really what it means to not think about AI as just a tool, but to really think about AI as like a member of your team. And so today we will kind of do the beginnings of how do we make this mindset shift. And then in the next 2 sessions, we will go into more details where you will build your own ones and you will do these different things. Now, one of the things that would help me is if in the chat you can tell me what AI tool you are mostly using. I know many people are using ChatGPT, for example, and things like that. But if in the chat you can tell me, okay, this is the tool that I'm mostly using, that will help me, because even though today I will mostly show you Gemini, just because from an organization standpoint, Gemini is more integrated. Yeah, it looks like a lot of you, ChatGPT and Gemini, I know these are very popular, but everything I show you that we do in Gemini can also be done inside of ChatGPT. So both of them can be in the same thing, because I will teach a method, not necessarily like just the application. So if there are questions or anything along the way, let me know. But really, in this series, we have a few goals. Number one is, how does AI make our life easier, right? When we think of this idea that, we can hire, before, today, for example, if you want to hire people, you have to have money, you have to have resources, there's a process. But now with AI, we almost have like a digital workforce, almost like free labor, where tomorrow, if I want to hire 10 people to do something, or like people to do something, I can create 10 little AI teammates who can do a very specific task. And so this is really what we're looking at, is how do we build this AI team? Not just I'm going to AI to go ask a question, make me this, write me this, summarize this, but no, we are training it very specifically to do certain things as if we hired you to come and do this job. So this is the big thing we will look at in the series. How do we build this? How do we create this vision in our organizations? Number two, who do you want on this team, right? Where are the areas that are taking the most amount of your time? What are the things that you wish you could spend more time doing, but maybe you don't have time to do? How can we free the time to focus more on important things? And then towards the end, in our third one, we will share what it is that we created, right? Because this is probably the most helpful for most people, is being able to see, okay, this is what other people are doing. Oh, this gives me this idea. Oh, I didn't think about this. Now I can do this. So these are the things that will help. And this is kind of the overarching idea of our series. So I want to start actually by asking you, and yes, of course, we will talk about agentic AI as well. Now, we'll get there. Let me get there as well. But yes, we absolutely will. So one of the things that I want to start with is, what is a part of your work that you care about that you don't have a lot of time to focus on, okay? So I wish I could do more of this, but right now I don't have the time to do this, even though maybe one day I would love to do these things. So if you want to share with us in chat, and by the way, these aren't meant to be like interactive sessions, not just me lecture and just sit here and just say everything. So if you want to go ahead in the chat and tell me, what is something in your work, maybe tell us what you do, and in my work, I wish I had more time to do this. Like, this is what I would really like to do. Do research. Okay, absolutely. Oh, okay, a lot of research. Okay, absolutely. Yeah, and we will look at ethics in our second or third session, because I think we have to first be like, okay, what can we do with AI? We first have to understand the AI as a teammate concept. And once we understand the teammate concept, then the ethics makes a lot more sense. Design edtech experiences. Okay, absolutely. Okay, these are all fantastic. Yes, exactly. Letting AI do most of those tasks and shifting to that learning that we focus on, strategic thinking and planning. These are all fantastic. I think give us more K-12 lesson support. Oh my God, absolutely. These are innovative solutions. This is fantastic. Okay, amazing, amazing. Okay, so it sounds like we very much, so you can see over here, you already have a lot of people who are thinking about similar goals, have similar things, but now let's ask the other question, okay? So these are very important questions to start with. I think sometimes too many people start with, here's how you use ChatGPT, and here's all the features and all the tools and all the different buttons. But first we have to step back and kind of look at our work, right? What do we wish we could spend more time on? What is holding us back? Okay, so this is the next question I would love for you to be able to share. If those are the things you wish you could do, what is stopping you? Right? And it could be many things, but go ahead and share with us in the chat. What is the barrier or the problem in your way for why you cannot do or spend more of your time in these places? Yeah, absolutely. Implementation. Okay. Okay. So even when we say I have more important tasks, define those. What are those tasks that are more important or that are preventing you from doing that? It's very important for us to get very specific, okay, about what those different things are. Because if we can name them, we can solve for them. Too long suggestions by these. Okay, task executions, don't get the time. Time is always a big one, right? So even when we think about time, we have to really also think about, okay, let me look at my calendar. Where is my time being spent? I always say it's nice to think about time the way we think about money, right? It's like if you have an investment goal or you want to buy something or do something, usually you have like a budget. We look at like, okay, what can I do with this budget? Where should I spend less? Do I have room for more? But usually we don't do that with our time, right? And money, you can earn money anytime. You can earn more money and whatnot. But time, once it's gone, right? So there's time is like even perhaps more valuable than money. But when we ask usually, okay, where do we spend most of our time? It's very hard to sort of have an answer because we don't always look at it in that way. Okay, so basically my idea is that, sometimes you may not even have the answer to these questions right away, but these are the questions that it's very important to start with. So when you are working with other people or you're sitting down to look at how can I use AI, reflecting more on these questions, what do I wish I could do more? Because the things you wish you could do more are probably the more human work, right? And the things that are taking up our time are probably the kinds of tasks that are better for AI. So this automatically helps us create like a criteria for what should I be doing and what should AI be doing. And this helps people also feel more confident that like AI is not going to replace them and things like that. Okay, so I want to tell you just a little bit about myself and how I came to sort of be interested in this field and why I'm here today to talk about this topic and just even where my philosophy and a lot of these ideas that I'm going to share with you actually come from. So I graduated in 2007 as a high school history teacher. So I taught high school history for like about 8 years. But when I graduated in 2007, if you remember, just a few months later, it was the recession in, really worldwide. But in the United States in particular, like a lot of professions, like we lost our jobs, like homes, jobs, all these things, right? So I got my first job and I got my first layoff notice all in 1 year. And I remember being like very confused. Like I went to school, I did university, I got my master's. I had sort of like done all the things that people tell you to do. And so when somebody was like, oh, sorry, like you don't have a job, like, we don't have any room, I was very surprised. And I would have the same kind of experience for like the next 5 years. And eventually I settled into a position. But one of the things when I finally settled into a position at a school, I remember thinking like, why was I so unprepared? And then I read this book called Lynchpin by Seth Godin. And in this book, he said, that deal, you go to school, you get good grades, you graduate, this is over. Like, this is not how the world works anymore. Today's world wants you to be a problem solver, but also a problem finder. Can you be somebody who sees a challenge, but instead of complaining, you create a solution? You bring people together to design, okay, what can we do? And you figure it out. And I think right now, AI is a great example of this. There's a lot of people who are either complaining or they're frustrated. And then there's people who are like, okay, how can I use this? All of you here today are all people who are interested. How can I use this? What can I do? So this is the kind of skill we need more people to embrace and have. And this is really mindset more than anything else. So as I started doing more research, how do you develop this mindset? How do these things happen? This quote from William Gibson is one I come back to a lot. The future is here. It just isn't evenly distributed. Because while in 2007, I was losing my job, right? there were people like Steve Jobs who launched the iPhone in 2007, right? And most actually applications, like all the ones we use today, came during this time, right? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Airbnb, many things that today are just so normal for us. We don't even think about it anymore. We go download an app. Back 20 years ago, this was a very new concept. And what I realized later was, okay, some people knew this was coming, but other people like me had no idea. We were just consuming and using the tools. So what makes this difference? That some people have access and knowledge about the future and how to prepare, and some people do not. And so what I learned basically, down the line, is this line here. Once I learned about this method called design thinking, which we'll actually talk about more in our second session, not the first one. Today, I really want you to experience and try different things and get a feel for what this is like. Then in our second session, we will go into more detail about what is design thinking, what is this methodology, and go deeper. But when I started learning about design thinking, how to be a problem solver, not just problem solver, but this is how to find the problem. What is the problem we need to solve to begin with? And how do you create the solution? I realized this one very important lesson, and that is that a culture of innovation does not begin with technology. Too often when people talk about innovation, they talk about apps, devices, and the tech. This is not about technology. This is about people. And you must understand what are people's challenges, but also what are people's hopes and dreams? What are the things they wish they could do? And what are the things that are preventing them from doing those things? And if you can understand these things, then you can use the technology to solve the problems and to help them implement their ideas. This is why we start with these two questions, right? We don't start with how to use ChatGPT. No, we want to start with, tell me what you wish you had more time for. Tell me what your problems are. And then we use technology to help the idea or to solve the problem. So once I learned this, then my career really changed. I spent some time at USC. I worked at Apple for a few years. And then I did research. Okay, in 2007, I had no idea what was happening, but what is the next big technology going to be? And how do we help people prepare? So we knew the next big technology would be AI. So in 2017, I went back to school to research, okay, what will people need to be successful when it comes to AI? And honestly, every single time the answer really came back to design thinking. So that's what we're going to try today. But what's interesting is today, when we look around us at workforce and the skills and the news and things like this, we see a very similar story, right? Oh, how are new young people going to get jobs? There's no more jobs left. The AI, this many people are being laid off. Very similar things we hear today are the same things that I used to hear in 2007. And this is just the nature now of society. If 20 years ago it was the iPhone, today it's ChatGPT that has created this big change, okay? So when we kind of look at this, sort of these changes, there really are kind of two types of people, okay? And maybe you've heard of this, the fixed mindset and growth mindset. So you have some people who, it's very hard for them to see change, and other people like, okay, maybe I don't know, but I'm gonna try, like I said, all of you here today. So if we think, for example, about like AI in education or AI for workforce development, that we see these two groups emerge, right? We see fixed mindset people. We're behind, the kids are all cheating, everyone's not thinking anymore, they're just all using AI, everything's over. Like, when can I retire and not have to deal with this anymore, right? But then you have another group of people, and we call this other group of people growth mindset people. Okay, these people say, okay, like, I don't know a lot. That's all of us here today, right? We're all growth mindset people. I don't know a lot, but I'm going to join webinars. I'm going to join people and join places where I can learn about what is coming next. Okay, but now if you are a growth mindset person, there's one problem. We only have so much time and resources, right? We have many ideas, many things we wish we could do, but we don't always have the time to do those things, maybe the resources to do those things. So for us, there was a big opportunity with AI. And that opportunity is, this is my idea, this is my problem. I don't know how to solve it. I don't have all the time, energy, and resources, but AI can help me. How can AI help me? Maybe it's AI, and maybe it's also people. How do I use all of this now new resources and new technology to do things that by myself I could not do? Okay, so this is really the big opportunity we will explore in this workshop series. How does AI help us do the things we wish we could do solve our problems so that, by building this AI team who's going to do these tasks that we create, okay? And when we look sort of at the skills that today's world is really looking for, we see these are the kinds of skills that align. People want people who can communicate, right? Like, what is the problem? What are we doing? How are we talking about it? How are we motivating and inspiring people, right? We see motivation as a key skill. Can you inspire other people to do new things is also a skill. And then the ethics. And like I said, the ethics we will talk about in our second, maybe third session, we'll see. Do you have a vision? Okay, all of these new things are here, but what are we going to do and what does it mean for us and how will we use them? So you can see these are the skills that are shared. But basically, you can put it in two categories: character and communication. Okay. And then, this is something that you see across the board. If we look at another group, the World Economic Forum, again, you see the same things. Am I resilient? Am I flexible? Do I have motivation? Do I have creative thinking, empathy, active listening? So the skills that people looking for today, we know what those are. And now the challenge is, how do we use AI to help us be able to get there? Okay. So if you have any questions or anything at all, oh, so sorry. I will definitely try to talk a little bit slower. Maybe hopefully with the recording, maybe it can slow it down. But one of the things we have to look at now is, okay, that's a great idea. How can I do this? Okay. And so the framework I want to share with you today is called Spark. Okay. And Spark basically is something that we say you are prompting the human before the AI. Okay. Now, many times when people use, AI tools, we go right to the AI. Give me this, summarize this, create this, and whatever it is people are doing. But we believe before you go to AI, first you have to talk to people. And you first have to kind of do some of these different things, right? Number one is the situation, right? What is your context? Who are you? What is your role? What do you do? What is the problem that you're trying to solve, right? Like, what's the barrier, the problem in your way? What is your vision? If everything was perfect, what would it look like, right? What is your kind of vision for success? And then we look at what's a result. What's something you actually would like to see as something tangible? And then Kismet is like, actually, I think, this group of people, you probably understand this more than most people, but this is sort of like the serendipity. This is, okay, wow, I didn't think of this, but I put these ideas in, and then I asked my AI tool, how can I make this better? What am I missing? Give me 3 to 4 ideas for how I can implement this. So we're going to try this right now, okay? But let me give you an example. Remember, I told you I taught history, and we're going to change this so that you will do your one in a moment right now too. But for example, in this one, I might say my situation is, I'm a history teacher and I don't just want to do essays all the time, right? Maybe I want to do more projects with my students so they have more critical thinking, more creativity. The problem, though, is that students, they don't want to do any essays. They just think, okay, I'm just going to write this, complete this, and they keep using AI to write the essays, so they're not doing that critical thinking. My aspiration, though, my vision for success is that they enjoy writing, that they are interested in the topics from history, they are using their critical thinking, and they're also thinking about the real world and what we can do, okay? The result, I want them to sort of be proud of their work. I want them to use AI, but to support them, not to do the work for them. And I want them to be creative and have good discussion. Give me 3 to 4 ideas for how I can do this, okay? And then when you put it in there, as again, a hard answer for maybe me to come up with, but my AI tool can give me many, many ideas for how I can go about doing this, something that by myself, maybe I couldn't do. I'll give you another example. This one was a summer school principal, and a principal for looking at summer school. And she said, we have a summer academy. And she said, in the past 10 years, we are not seeing a lot of people come to the academy anymore, okay? So, students are busy is the problem. They want to spend more time with their family. They have sports in the summer. We're not really sure what the problem is, why they're not coming. Their aspiration, though, a vision for success, we would love to see more people, especially because when they come to summer academy, they are more successful in their classes when they start high school, Okay, they have, they want to have 80. They used to have 80. They have 80 now, but they used to have 100, and they want to get back to getting 100 students, and they want 3 to 4 ideas. What can I do? So this is here inside Gemini. They come in, and now it will start giving them the answer. They said, well, number one, maybe change the name. Right? Summer school kind of doesn't sound like, everyone has an idea in their head. Summer school is not fun. It's, I'm going extra school. Maybe call it something different. Call it the freshman experience, right? Try a different name for what you're doing. Maybe make it more social. This is not just about learning math or English. This is about, you're going to meet friends. You're going to meet your counselors. You're going to get like a preview of everything that is going to come, right? Maybe another idea is you make the schedule more interesting. Not you're going to math, English, and science class and things like a normal summer school, but maybe you make it more like a camp. Maybe you have more technology, more projects, so they are more excited to kind of come and join. So anyways, from there, you can basically give like, oh, okay, I like this idea. No, not this idea, but I like this one. Okay, let's build this idea. Okay, and so then Gemini can come in and you can tell it, okay, build me a plan. What is this going to look like? How can I implement this? Maybe what is the email I can send? Maybe I will brainstorm the name and all of these different kinds of pieces. Okay, so like I said, we call this idea prompt the human before the machine. Because if somebody goes straight sometimes to the AI tool, they will really just begin to say, okay, make me a summer academy, make me this, and things like that. So what I want to do now is I want it to be your turn. Okay, and I'm going to share with you in the chat a link. Okay, so I don't know, maybe does somebody want to be a volunteer? I'm going to share the different screen. So this, okay, Noor, would you like to be a volunteer? So everybody, okay, amazing. That's fantastic. Okay, so now everybody should see this screen. So when I say let's use an AI teammate, this is basically what I mean. This is a teammate that is trained in the Spark method. So now when you come over here, okay, let's go there. When you come over here now and you click, let's start this exercise. So it says exercise 8 because these are from my book. But let's come here and we click start exercise 8. And now it's going to ask you a question, okay? It's going to say, hi, I'm Spark, okay? And I am here to help you build the AI mindset, okay? Now, these are very easy to create. So I'm showing you this in this one because in our next session, you will create your own, okay? And I'm going to take you through this exercise for how we can basically use the Spark method. So basically, so we can say over here, are you ready to begin? So it's going to ask you questions. So we say over here, let's pretend, Noor, you're going to be the one. Say, yes, I'm ready. Okay. So now, Noor, I'm going to ask you, so maybe come off mute. Tell me a little bit about your role and what you do.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. My role is I'm an instructional technology coordinator. And what was your other question?
Hold on, let me just type instructional technology coordinator and where?
I live outside of Chicago in Illinois.
Oh my God. Okay, that's so funny. I was just there last week. Okay, instructional technology in Chicago. Okay, we'll just say in Illinois. Oh, we'll say Chicago, it's fine. And where though? Like specifically, you're like a K-12, higher education. Like, tell me a little bit where you are.
Yes, and it's early childhood through our post-secondary for the students who are like not going to go to college due to special needs. So yeah, K-12 basically with some expansion.
Okay, in K-12 with students who are not going to college because they have special needs. So you can just see, even in this one, right, how when you are talking with another person and writing with AI, so you have people plus AI, look how different it is because we can ask each other questions. We can kind of prompt each other to give some more context, okay? Perfect. So now that's all you have to put, and we're going to press enter, okay? All right, so it says, thanks for sharing, Noor. You have a very important role supporting students. What's a challenge or an idea that you'd like to explore today?
I am always grappling with how to empower staff to utilize technology intentionally beyond substitution within that SAMR continuum, and really to think more about like what you're talking about of like how to use technology to solve problems such as like student engagement, moving students like learning forward and actually seeing growth and achievement gains.
And if I was to say like, what does maybe engagement or like growth look like to you? Oh, actually, let's do that in the next one. Okay, sorry. So sometimes you go ahead. Okay, like this is why you need your tool. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and we'll put it there. But the next one is going to be like, okay, like what is your aspiration? So you can see over here, do you see how my teammate that I've given you is summarizing? And the reason it's summarizing is to confirm that we're on the same page, okay? Literally like we're collaborating with somebody. It's like, okay, let me make sure we're all on the same page so we're writing the same thing. So she's an instructional technology coordinator, and she wants to be able to empower staff to use technology intentionally to solve problems like student engagement and advancing learning. And is gonna say, does this sound okay? Or is there something else you would like to add? Because sometimes, you know, we do this and we're like, oh, actually, I forgot to say. And so this is kind of your chance to be able to put it in. So does this sound okay to you?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, perfect. So now it's going to keep going. So you can see this is like I'm working with a partner, right? It's asking me questions, keeping me going. Okay, so what do you see as the biggest obstacle right now for why people are not adopting technology in this way?
I think one is a knowledge and skill gap, which I guess are two. Just knowledge and like what the tools can do. And then skill, like again, kind of the same idea of like what can the tool do beyond efficiency. So another obstacle I see is staff having time to build their knowledge and skill, which I think also ties into capacity. I
That's
definitely
perfect.
think there's a will. I think there's definitely a will because they want to find ways to partner with AI to build their efficiency, to solve problems, generate new ideas. But I think that the time and capacity get in the way of being able to build their knowledge and skills.
Yeah, no, that's a great correlation between the two. Okay, so then we go ahead and we put that in. And then it says, how does this affect the
Dr.
people that
Sabah,
you serve?
sorry to
Yes,
interrupt. Can you share the right screen, please? Because we are not seeing the what are you seeing right now?
you're not?
It
Uh-oh.
just says like the spark and it says to cultivate an AI
Oh,
mindset.
oh, no, no. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm not really used to Google Meet, but let's try this one more time. Okay, I see. Okay, now do you see it? Hold on one
Not yet.
second. One second.
Yes.
There.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So let
yes.
me
Now
just
we
go
see.
back up really quick. Thank you for telling me. If there's anything like that, just interrupt and let us know. But let me just go back really quick to show. So basically what happened when you did this, we tap the start less exercise, okay? And once you start it, you can see over here, it is now coming and basically introducing itself. Hello, I'm Spark. I'm your coach, and I'm going to here to help you build this AI mindset using the Spark method. We'll go step by step, one question at a time. Are you ready? Okay, and then we say, yes, we are ready. And now it's going to start asking me questions. And so all I was doing as she was speaking, I was typing her answers. And so you can see here, it keeps, every time I type an answer, it asks me another question. Type an answer, asks me another question, and keeps going from there, okay? And so now, okay, we're at this question. Okay, so it says, thank you. It sounds like these are the obstacles. So again, it's always going to try to confirm that it's hearing the right thing so that, again, we're on the same page. So now it's asking, how does this affect your students or your staff? Like what is getting, like, you know, how is this affecting everybody?
I think it makes people feel like they can't keep up. I think it leads to basic use of technology with students.
Mhm. That's good. And, you know,
Okay.
we can also say, because, you know, this is a very shared challenge, right? I think this is unanimously, we can agree this is like a problem in so many places. And I think when we do feel this way, right, it's also what leads us to be like, get rid of the technology sometimes, right? Like, let's just ban the technology and things like that. So sometimes when we have initiatives like that, like ban the technology, it's frustrating, we do this. Really, it's not the technology that's the problem. It's we're going deeper to, wait a minute, the human problem is we don't feel like we understand how to use this. And so now, instead of it being something that supports us, it's become a problem for us. So we can go ahead and we can go in there and do that. So now it's saying thank you. Okay, so now it's going to summarize the whole challenge for you, like the challenge, knowledge, skill gaps, along with time, not being able to keep up. And we can say, yeah, would you agree that pretty much is a good summary? Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Amazing. Okay, perfect. So now that we agree, yes, that's it. Okay, so now it's going to say, if you could snap your fingers and you could solve this, what would it look like to make you feel like you were successful?
Oh, that's a good question. That's like what I've been grappling with.
And this is like your dream world. It doesn't even have to be so practical. Like in my dream world, I would walk in and I would see this, or I would hear this, and things like that.
I don't know how tangible this is, but I would love to see like things in classrooms happening that have never happened before.
Do you have any example?
This isn't a never, but really, like, truly students guiding their learning.
I love that. And so again, I just really want people to kind of pay attention to the answers to these questions are not always easy. This is why, again, we need sometimes to have the humans kind of talk through together. Okay, but what would this look like? What could this be? You know, and if you're on the same team in your organization, you can be like, oh yeah, remember that time we went to a conference and we saw this idea? Or remember, oh, I was online and I saw somebody doing this. I have no idea how they did it, but wouldn't it be cool if we were able to do X? So this is very intentional modeling of human interaction with AI as well, to really be able to get to a higher level of what we're asking for. Okay, so that's perfect. So now it's going to say over here, okay, that sounds like a great vision. What new skills, benefits, or changes do you want to see for your students or your clients? So I'm just going to kind of speed this up here. It's going to keep going down a rabbit hole. Just be like guiding your own learning. Okay, and student engagement, because it's kind of repetitive. It's designed to really help people get super specific. So when you're doing it yourself, you'll probably want to engage more. It's fine. So it's like, okay, it's going to repeat back to you, this. Okay, summarize your aspirations. Okay, amazing. Yes, let's get to how we make this happen. Okay, so now it's going to start giving us some ideas. Okay, now when you do this inside this chatbot, it is a little bit basic, but when you build yours, you will be building them inside Gemini or ChatGPT. Okay, you can build these in both places. The instructions are going to be exactly the same. But really what we're doing is now I would come here and kind of ask, do any of these like interest you or resonate with you? So one is like a hands-on workshop, another is a peer mentoring program, another is a reflection routine, another is a small scale pilot. Okay. Now, a lot of times when people see this, they feel like, oh, I have to pick one, or like, something like that. But you can actually mix and match. Oh, I kind of like this. I've tried this before, but this piece sounds interesting. Which one do you kind of like resonates with you?
So we're in the middle of creating a grant for us to do small scale pilots. So I'd love to explore that more.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look like, oh, interesting. We are in the middle of a grant where we are exploring small scale pilots. Okay, now what's really interesting about that is, do you see over here, there's a little paperclip? You can actually even upload in the grant application and be like, here's the grant that I'm working on. Here's what we've written so far. Like, how would you help me do X, Y, Z? Okay, so small scale pilots. Now, in your pilot, is there anything specific you're looking for? Are there any time parameters, specific tools that you would want to run a pilot with?
Time frame would be, I think we said by January that they need to complete.
How long is the pilot running for?
Oh, the pilot would run for like all of next school year.
Oh, okay. Um, so we would say the pilot would run all school year next year. Okay, perfect. So we can just kind of, I mean, and at this point, you can kind of want to stay as like broad as possible. So it's like, oh, like since you're already kind of looking at small scale pilots, would you like to also implement peer mentoring? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So then we can come in here and now it's going to do this. So now it's going to be like, okay, let's start creating this plan. Be like, yes, give me a 30-day implementation plan for how I can do this, right? And now you might start getting more specific. We have this many people in the pilot. We have these tools that we're using. This is what our grant requirements are and things like that. But the idea is that we're getting more and more and more specific about what we want until we actually get to a place where we're like, okay, like this is great. I can actually use this. I can implement this, and then I can go off and we might even come here and be like, give me an example of what a pilot could look like for high school teachers using ChatGPT. Okay, so you might even have like specific scenarios for your pilots, and now it can start giving examples. So the pilot is going to be enhancing student writing, right? Again, yours might be something else, and it's like, here's what you could do on week 1, here's what you could do on week 2, 3. And then again, it's literally like you're working with another person. If there's something that you need, something that's not clear, maybe like, okay, that sounds great. Give me directions. Okay, I love that. Give me a rubric. How will we assess the pilot to know that we're making success? How should we capture results and case studies? Like what template should we use? Whatever it is that you need, that you would have to go and build, this is what you would do. Yeah.
Sab, I have a question. All the stuff that we did at the beginning, like the human piece of it, is that part important instead of just going right into give me a plan for a
Yeah.
small pilot? And do you mind explaining more about why that is so important?
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically context. So like, for example, if we were to go into, okay, hold on a second. Let me see if I can do this again. Okay, so because we're using Spark, it's going to be a little bit different. Let me go ahead and come out of Spark and go back to a regular chatbot. The biggest piece that's missing for people is context. And so what happens when people basically use, or like when people are like, oh, like just give me a plan for a pilot. So if I just come over here to Gemini, okay, and let me go to the regular version. So if I just come over here and say, give me a plan for a small scale pilot at a K-12, the results are just going to be so broad. It's not that it won't do it. But okay, actually these tools have gotten really good at this as well. Like they'll kind of go in with you, like, what is your pilot addressing? What is it doing? So I feel like before the AI tools used to just give the answer, but because now they have more reasoning abilities and things like this, they actually do start to ask you more questions. But when people see this, it's very overwhelming, right? Or like, look, now it's like, let Gemini just do it for you because you didn't ask the right question, right? So it's like, oh, okay, come over here. Let me ask Gemini to do this for me. And now look, it's going to basically set up like the whole thing. But the only problem with this is it's like, do this, do this, do this, not necessarily the answer. So what happens when we sit and we define the problem, that's the human work. Your AI tool doesn't know your context. It doesn't know your students. Like there's a lot more we could have done. We could have uploaded the demographics of the students. We could have uploaded like their different like learning abilities for, like, for example, if you have 30 teachers in a pilot, okay, let's upload in the student data so that as we're designing the pilot, it's aligning to those student needs. And this is why I recommend Gemini over ChatGPT, because Gemini is going to, it's more, it's better integrated into an organization from data privacy, all those pieces. Most people are not willing to pay for ChatGPT enterprise licenses for everybody. But Gemini is in many places free if you use Google Apps already. And so a lot of this is already built in. But does that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that comparison as well. Thank you.
Yeah, you're totally welcome. Okay, so hopefully, does anybody else have any questions maybe inside the chat or anything at all for what this looks like or something you might want to try or anything like that? Because you all have the link to the chatbot. So you should all be able to go in and you should all be able to go and test and try the Spark method. But I'd love to maybe just hear any thoughts or anything at all about this idea. Yeah, no, I'll send it to you for sure. And Wilson, your question around, oh, can you create it around the craft method? Absolutely. You know, the only thing that's different about Spark and these methods is Spark has a little bit more of the human element, whereas most other prompting methods say, go be an expert grant writer, go be this person. Spark really encourages you to, to, to focus on your context, because you are the expert of your environment, of your organization, of your situation and your context. So we want people to get really good at defining, this is the problem in my organization, but this is what we wish we could do. And I'll tell you, in most places, people have a very hard time knowing what the answer to that is, right? But if we can't define what our problems are and we can't define our hopes and our dreams and our vision and the things we wish we could do, it was very hard then to actually create change that you're kind of looking for inside your organization. And it's also like, this is the human work, right? Like at a time when a lot of people are worried that AI is going to replace them, why is anybody going to hire me? Companies are just replacing everybody with AI. Well, yeah, sure. If you just send everybody to go do everything on Ask AI, you're not going to be building your own skills so that when you walk into an organization, you're like, I see the problem, but I have the confidence to use AI to help this organization in this role figure things out. So this is a very, very, very important skill that we want more people to kind of embrace and learn. That is not really a part of school, right? School is very much like, okay, like I teach right now at a college, and the students always asking me, okay, is this on the grade? Is this on the test? Okay, you didn't give me this one direction. You know, like I tell them all the time, if you keep asking me these questions, you know, AI doesn't ask these questions. AI is going to figure it out, right? So for example, like this actually becomes very important for Hans. This is a great question about agentic AI. If we are not defining these things today, tomorrow when you do have agentic AI, you lose control because now your AI is going to be defining the problem. So you can already see even inside Gemini, it has a lot more agency. If you don't put in the right things, it basically will ask you, will be like, hey, you didn't give me the right information. You didn't give me enough information. Now I'm going to ask you what to do. Now the AI is in control. Now the AI is asking the questions. So this is a really important stepping stone, this work and these skills, as we think about getting closer to sort of like agentic AI. All right, okay, so let me kind of show you. So like these bring us to kind of the 3 mindset shifts that we want people to make by engaging in this work. So this is another reason this is very important. We have a lot of people right now who don't see the value of AI. They think AI is cheating. They think AI is doing all the thinking and the kids and everybody is like, you know, getting dumb. And there are 3 mindset shifts we want people to make so that we can actually really prioritize higher level human work. And that is that number 1, AI is not a tool. It is not a calculator. It is not like anything we have seen before. It's completely new, right? It is your teammate, and not just one teammate, but many, 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 many teammates, right? That you have to lead, that you have to create and be in control of. Number 2, once you realize working with AI in this way is kind of what we can do, you realize this is a skill, right? What do I as the human need to do? What does the AI need to do? And how will I define these things? So you realize AI is not a shortcut. It's not just me going in and getting the answer. This is really a skill we have to learn to be able to develop it. And then last but not least, when you understand 1 and 2, you realize, okay, I can't just give people rules, use AI, no, don't use AI. We have to have values, right? What are our values? What is our vision? And how are we using AI to align with those values and with that vision, okay? And people who do this see incredible results. So there was a really great study that came out recently from Harvard and the Wharton School of Business. And they basically looked at like, okay, if people use AI like a teammate, what kind of results do they see? So basically what they said was a human plus AI was the same as 2 people. Okay. So individuals who used AI were better than people who were just two people, like human people. But the other really surprising thing they saw was that people who used AI actually started feeling better connected. Because look at how me and Noor were kind of going back and forth with each other, right? We weren't sitting in our own desks. We weren't in a random meeting. We were basically collaborating with each other. Yeah, what should we do? Oh yeah, what about that? Did you think about this? And we're going back and forth. And that actually builds stronger connection amongst people. Okay, people were creating more alignment, right? A lot of times, like one of you, I think, said, one of the things that takes a lot of my time is meetings, right? Because we're always in meetings trying to figure things out. But again, if you bring in the AI in a meaningful way, people can work faster. Okay, and then there was less burnout. People were happier because they were getting work done faster and things like that. Now, there's been a lot of talk in this chat, right, about like agentic AI. So I kind of just wanted to give a little bit of context around what is the speed that we're seeing these tools moving, because they're not really 100% there yet, right? Like maybe it can help us 60, 70%, but there's still like another big jump that we are hoping to make. So if you kind of look, you can kind of see the very kind of slow evolution, but you can see it was like slow, 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 and then zoom. Right? It's like speeding up now. It's like every single day, it's like a new capability, a new feature, a new something. And so over here, you can see, we just got GPT-4, right? 2023, that was like the big moment. And now the next big thing people are looking for is AGI, right? Which they say before 2030 will be here. And so again, instead of waiting for AGI to come and waiting for this like moment, it's really going to be a series of steps toward the moment. And so we have to be able to understand what are those steps we need to take now so that as the technology gets better, we as humans and our skills are moving side by side as well in this technology. So one of the easiest ways to think about this is that these sort of tools have different like competencies or different levels. And every company has something that looks a little bit different, okay? So this one is from OpenAI. Google have their own one. But OpenAI said level 1, right? This is when we got GPT-3, right? In 2023 in the beginning, it was just a chatbot. You just talk to it back and forth, right? But then in 2024, in September, we got the first reasoning model, right? AI that can think, it can look at its mistakes, it can see, okay, this didn't work, let me try this. The AI that can figure things out, it's reasoning and it's thinking, getting a little bit better at problem solving, right? And now we are in the middle of, now we are slowly starting to see agents. I wouldn't say it's perfect by any means. There's still a lot of mistakes, a lot of trust issues. Maybe as an individual, if you want to use something, fine. But for a business with data and security and all these things, I don't think there's a lot of people right now that are really implementing this aggressively, maybe a little bit trying things here and there. Like, for example, like the Spark kind of chat that I just shared with you, making those kinds of teammates. But we will get to a point where this technology will get good, right? Where it will be safer and we will have better guardrails. And then 4 and 5, this is where like AI can like really do things better than most humans, right? So this is kind of the piece people say by 2030. But I think one of the things to know about artificial intelligence tools like this, it's not just to make them smarter and more knowledge and more data. It's to have them do things, right? We call that agency. They can make decisions, they can take actions. And so what we have to do as humans is make sure humans also have agency. We also, so like Noor, to your question, like, why should I not just ask, hey, give me this? Because we lose our agency. We're not building the skill anymore of understanding our context, understanding our people. AI can do a lot in the middle, right? But what we really want to do is make sure, let me see, do I have it here? I don't have it here. It's basically, we use like this little equation, human at the beginning, human at the end, right? You as the human should always be the spark. It should be your idea. It should be your problem, your challenge. You know your people, right? AI doesn't know your people. You know your people and your business and your organization. And then you are also the final decision maker. You're going to be accountable, right? So like when Noor goes and submits that grant application, she's got to make sure that there's no incorrect data, that like, oh yeah, actually, by the way, we only have 30 teachers, not 50 teachers. So you have to be the final decision maker who will take responsibility for that end outcome that is going to be there, okay? I want to play this video for you. Let me know if you hear the sound.
Fundamental advance in artificial intelligence. We call it agentic AI. Agentic AI basically means that you have an AI that has agency. It can perceive and understand the context of the circumstance. It can reason, very importantly, it can reason about how to answer or how to solve a problem. And it can plan in action. It can plan and take action. It can use tools because it now understands multimodality information. It can go to a website and look at the format of the website, words and videos, maybe even play a video. Learns from what it learns from that website, understands it, and come back and use that information, use that newfound knowledge to do its job.
And so in our next 2 sessions, we're going to look more and more at tools. Like I said, in our next session, you're going to hopefully like actually build your own one with either Gemini or ChatGPT, whichever one it is that you want to use, because these are the skills that these tools are able to have. They can go onto websites, they can read things, see things, understand things, and all that kind of stuff. But basically this idea that I shared with you today about building your AI team, I think I wrote about it in my book last year, but this year Microsoft created a really good graphic. They have a, you know what, I'll put it in the chat for you. Give me 1 second. It's called a Microsoft Work Trend Index. And basically every single year, Microsoft, they share a report. They kind of highlight for us, okay, if there's one thing everybody should focus on during this year, this should be what everybody focuses on, okay? So that's the link to the actual report. I just pulled out one graphic. And basically in this report, they share like these 3 areas, okay? Phase 1, they say, is a human with an assistant. And you can kind of think of this pretty much like how we have all been using AI tools, right? We have so many different chats in the side, myself included, all of us, so many chats. Every time, do this, open this, make this, create this, da 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 da, right? That's where everybody has been. But now that the tools and the technology is getting better, we now have to start building human and AI teams, okay? Sometimes they call them digital colleagues. I like to call them AI teammates, because I think when you say teammate or team member, people understand what it's like to work with a team. When you say AI agent, I think it sounds scary, and I think it scares people. And I think people don't know, okay, agent, what does that mean? But when you say teammate, digital colleague, this people can understand. And the way we make this transition is we have to reflect. Where has AI really helped me? So if I was to think about like my contacts, like AI has really helped me with lesson planning. I mean, when I work with teachers in schools on designing lessons, like kind of exactly what me and Noor just did, that used to take weeks. Like it literally used to take weeks. And you know, if even people did it at all, because it took so long. But now, like me and Noor, if we wanted to, if we had another half an hour, we could have written up the whole grant. Right? We could have done the entire thing in half an hour compared to what would have taken people weeks. So I'm going to be like, oh my God, I want like a permanent lesson planner, grant writer on my team. So now I have to go in and give it the role. I have to give it a job description. I have to tell it exactly more about my organization. Almost like I went from just like working with you for fun to now I'm going to hire you. And what happens when we hire people? We onboard them, right? You get a job title, you get a handbook, you get, this is what you can do. This is the rules of our organization. This is our vision, our mission. You know, here's your badge, all these different kinds of things. So this now is the big transition we have to make. And this is what we will create in the next 2 parts of our series. And then also we will look at the ethics of things, of how do you manage these teams? How do you make decisions with these teams and use them in an ethical way, right? And I always tell people you should give yourself 6 months. This is not an easy transition, okay? It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of, it's looking at, wow, we used to do this way. Now we can do it this way. And that's not something you can just do in like 30 minutes or even in one day. You need to try it, you need to test it, you need to see what works, and you build slowly, slowly, slowly this like AI team that's going to help. Now, what's very interesting about an AI team compared to a human team is, let's say, for example, Noor has the grant writer, right? Like, oh my God, I built this amazing AI teammate that helps me write these grants. Well, I can't take Noor and give her to 10 other people to go write grants, right? I'm like, I don't have time. I'm exhausted. Like, I have no way. But that AI teammate that she built, we can give it to everyone, right? I can't sit with all 100 of you here on this webinar and go through Spark, but I can give each of you my teammate, and each of you can go and use Spark in that way. So this is a very powerful new element we have with a digital teammate. We can give it to anyone, anytime, to be able to help them in what it is that they are doing. Okay, so that's kind of that there. So basically, at the end of our third session, what I would like everyone here to have is their AI team. And it kind of will be a little bit of a visual, just like this. You might have a grant writer, a research assistant, all of these different kinds of things that are there. Okay. Yeah, you guys ask really good questions about like people's abilities. And so this is why I want to save this conversation a little bit at the end, because first I want us to experience, okay, let's create these teammates. What is it like to work with them? Because you can see even just from mine and Noor's interaction, how essential we were to the process, right? If we just went in like we did and we said, give me a grant, it doesn't give us anything. It just gives us more questions. And then we have to answer more of those questions. Then we get overwhelmed by the questions and we can't answer them. So we give up. But you can see in there how important that skill is of being able to say, what do I want, right? What is the problem I'm trying to solve? Can I observe the people around me in my organization, in my business, to be able to be like, you know what, that's what we need. That's where the problem is. That person who's not saying anything, that I understand what's going on. Because, a lot of, as a leader or as, anybody really, a lot of things that you learn are not just by what people say, it's also what people don't say. So you have to be more present in your space. And one of the reasons it's hard to be present is we're overwhelmed, we're stressed, we're always thinking about the next meeting we have to go to, the next email we have to write. Even when we're in a meeting, we're working on other meetings and other things, right? So being present in your environment is really going to be something very specific. So where we're going to build this first is really going to be Gemini. This is my recommendation, is to build it in Gemini. And so when you go to Gemini, you will basically see on the left-hand side something that says explore gems. And what's cool about Gemini is they have some examples, okay? One actually new example they have is a storybook. Actually, let me just go ahead right now and open Gemini. First, does anybody have any questions? How can we find a problem that we can solve through AI, like working on new ideas? Yeah, this is where you will use Spark, Amar, and you will go through and answer the questions, and it will help you come up. See, as I'm saying, it's not easy to come up with, okay, what should I start? What should I do? You have to really reflect on your context. I always recommend look at something that's happening in the next 30 days. Because the more real your scenario is, the more impact you will feel. So for example, Noor was like, I'm working on this grant. Amazing. Let's do the grant and let's solve that. Because then you can really be able to feel the impact. So let me go ahead and share Gemini really quick. Okay, so let's come here. So, all right, amazing. So over here, like I said, on the left-hand side, we have over here, explore gems. Now, one quick one I recommend you try is Storybook, okay? This is a very, very cool new gem. And basically what you can do here is you can create any story, okay, for anything at all. And what a lot of people like doing is they like to come here and they like to upload a photo, okay? So let me try this. Let me see if I have a photo here. Let's go ahead and upload. Let me see, do I have a photo? Okay, yeah, maybe let's take this, okay. I want a story about back to school with friends, okay? Very basic, very simple, kind of in there. Now, one of the advantages to using Gemini with a work account is you have data privacy security. You'll see over here, your chats are not being used to improve our models, right? So I have that privacy element. I can upload photos, I can upload data. It's all protected under my organization. Now, personal account, no, but your work account or school account, it will be. So now you can see over here, I just said I want a story about back to school with friends. So we're going to give it a minute, and it's going to come over here. In a couple of minutes, it's going to create a story. But what I want you to do is I want you to play with some of those gems, experience it. Now they're in ChatGPT too, okay? So if we come while we're here to ChatGPT, you'll see it in ChatGPT as well, like if you go there. So it's like, oh, I can help with that. Okay, see, now it's asking questions, all these different things. Anyways, you can go in and you can, like, maybe I'll just be like, give me a sample, okay? Let's see. But see, this is what they have trained the AI tool to do, right? This is the thinking. Okay, what's the age? If I actually went to a person and I said, make me a storybook, these are the exact questions they would ask me. Okay, who's reading the story? What do you want it to be like? Like, is there a certain like theme you want? Do you want the story to be more sentimental or more funny? This is the kind of stuff it would do. So I just said, okay, just give me a sample. I want to answer the questions. And now it's going to come over here and it's going to make me a draft. Now this tool has been trained on how to create a story, right? So like I said, again, you are going to do the same thing, but making it for your own context. So I have a little activity I'm going to give you again at the end. Anyway, so now it's written the story. Now it's doing the images, right? The illustrations. So this is just a really fun one. A lot of people like using this for like bedtime, you know, if they have kids or cousins or something. Oh, let me make a bedtime story about, you know, my niece. I have a nephew, Hamza, and my niece is Ayana. So sometimes we'll go in and be like, oh, make a story about Hamza and Ayana going to the zoo, you know. Or if they have a toy, if they're doing something funny, like, oh, make a story about them doing this, and then we'll read them that story. But I can actually upload their photos and it will put their photos into the book. So it's like really, really, really cool to see how it creates this. So let's go ahead and take a look. It says this is called The Last Day of Summer. Takes a little bit of time, right? But here we go, The Last Day of Summer. So you can see it pulled in parts of my photo and makes it like a cartoon. And then I can come over here and now it says the last day of summer, vacation, blah, blah, blah. But here we go, we have a story. And I could have been really specific about the names, about all these different things that are there. So this is trained to do it in this way. You can see over here, I could even come and listen.
Alara and Liam moved to join them, pulling their chairs closer. The four of them had been friends.
So again, when we talk about, again, agentic AI that can do things, this is an AI that just created a storybook, that made images, that created a story, and that's now reading the story to me as well. And this is the very first version of this tool. This is like 1.0. So we can only imagine how much more the capability will increase, okay? I'll show you another one I built. And like I said, you're going to build these next time. I'm going to show you how. I have another one that I built for my program. So I have to do, in the teaching program that I'm in, I have to do 12 evaluations per student. Okay, it's a lot. It is a lot. And the form, let me show you what the form looks like that I have to fill in. This is what the form looks like. Put their name, the observation, there's 12 here. I have to say these are the strategies, these are my notes. But then this is where it gets really awful. We have these standards and I have to look at what are they doing in class and how are they using these standards? And I have to come here and write comments and evidence. This is what I saw. This is what it was. That's a lot of work, too much work. So what I did is I built a teammate to help me. I'm going to show you my form. I'm going to show you the standards, right? You can see all the documents are in here. And this is what you're going to do next time. Now I give it these instructions, right? I'm working with history teachers. I have to fill out this form. These are the areas that we have to complete. These are all the things I need. So what happens now is I just come here and I just put in my notes, okay? So I just say, let's just say, pretend I shared notes. What would you do? I don't know if it's gonna do it, but we'll see. But basically what I do is I just take notes when I'm in my observation. I come here and I put the notes here and it creates my full observation form for me. And all I have to do is copy and paste over. It aligns it to the standards. It does everything for me. And it saves me hours. Like it saves me hours and hours and hours and hours because it goes in and it just does this whole thing. Yeah, it won't do it. It's going to be like, oh, I need your notes. So If I had notes, I would paste them in here. But basically, this is what I'm excited to help you create. Now, let me show you what makes this even more interesting. When we create this, we're basically going to come here and go to New Gem. Every AI tool calls teammates something different. So ChatGPT calls them GPTs. Gemini, Google, calls them gems. So let's say over here, I'm going off of Nora's example, and I want a grant writer. Now, you saw my instructions, right? They were long. I had lots and lots and lots of things. Next time we get together, I'm going to show you how to make those instructions. But I also want to show you this shortcut, because the same way kids want a shortcut, so do adults. And Google knows this. So I can come over here and say, I want you to be a grant writer who helps me write grants. The worst. This is the worst possible set of instructions that I could give. But there's a button here where I can use Gemini to write my instructions for me. So watch what happens now when I click this button. My one sentence is going to turn into all of this, okay? So you can see Gemini says, act as a professional and knowledgeable grant writer. Your purpose is to help the individual in every stage of the process, from research to final submission. I didn't ask for any of that. Your goal, help first understand what is the grant about. Help them understand where else might they get funding. Help them create clear proposals, give examples, templates, and tips for what makes a great grant, okay? Here is what you're gonna do first. So let's just come over here and we can try this now, okay? So again, I've put in no knowledge. I'm gonna show you how to create knowledge and data. So we come over here, let's just save this grant writer, okay? And let's start. So now I'm Noor and I'm saying I have to write a grant for a small scale pilot. Now, if she wanted to, she could actually come here and upload the grant directions, okay? And now look, it's going to guide me in this process. Tell me about your organization. And why is it asking me these questions? Because I didn't train my teammate on what to do. The analogy that I give for this is, it's like having a really bad manager. You join a business, you join an organization, a school, wherever, and nobody tells you what to do, you know, and you're like, oh, okay, like I have this role, I'm supposed to be a grant writer, but nobody's told me anything. So what is the advice? Ask questions. Go to your manager and ask them, okay, what grant should I work on? Who are we doing it for? And this is how they have trained the AI tool to act. If somebody isn't giving you the context, right? Noor, you asked me such a good question earlier, like, why should I create all this context? Because again, if we don't own that part of the process, the AI tool will take control and start asking you the question, right? So it's very important for people to really have that element of being the leader of the AI team, not having the AI tool become the leader of what it is and what's going on, okay? So let me kind of now start to bring this to a close and start to share with you what you will do to get ready to build your teammate next time you come, okay? This is really what we're looking at when it comes to our vision in our organizations, right? In our organizations, we have a lot of individual talent. So every single person is good at something, right? What we want to do is take all the things people are good at and create a shared intelligence, like the grant writer. Maybe one person in Noor's org is really amazing at writing grants, but I need to package that knowledge as a gem so everybody can have access. We call this making the shift between individual talent to shared intelligence. Yes, it's great that you're good at this. How do I get more people to be able to benefit from that knowledge? So the way you're going to do this, a very small homework assignment, I want you to think about 3 teammates that you would like to build, okay? So if you could hire an AI team, what would you want them to do? Now, it can't be like, I want them to watch my class so I go on holiday, okay? We don't have like robots and things like that yet. There has to be some kind of knowledge work, knowledge task. Maybe it's like, I want help with research. I want help with lesson planning. I want help with grant writing. I want help with emails, strategic planning, building frameworks for AI in higher education. Whatever it is that you want, this is the question I want you to answer. If you could hire an AI team, what are 3 teammates you want? And if you get those 3 teammates, what changes for you? If you get those, now I can do what? How is your life going to change because you have these new teammates here? And that doesn't always mean more work. Okay. Sometimes it means I don't have to take work home. It means I get to go to the gym after class. I get to spend more time with my family at home instead of working. The what this does for us doesn't always have to be more work. In fact, it actually should not be more work. But that's kind of where we are. So yeah. That's it for me for this first part.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Saba. It was really interesting for what you said about giving the AI context for what it needs to help you with your project or anything that you wanted to do. Basically, for us technical and mostly non-technical people, they don't understand that you need to give the AI everything that it needs to help you with the information. So they need to know that. For now, we will have questions from everyone. If anyone have a question for Dr. Saba, we will get questions for.
And I just want to say we will focus on how to build that knowledge and how to build that context in our second session. You can actually use AI tools to help you build a lot of this knowledge. But yeah, we'll do that in our second session. The most important thing for you first, before you think about anything technical, is what do you want, right? First, we have to have the vision. I want this teammate to help me with research. Once you have defined what you want, then after that, building it is we can do this.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so if anyone has a question, they can type it in the chat and.
Maybe even letting us know if it was helpful, what questions you have that like this is still confusing for me, so that in the next session we can go deeper and we can talk about these. Or maybe even if anybody has any ideas, what kind of teammates do you want to build?
So Mohammed Rehan is asking, in the current age and upcoming times, are polymaths going to thrive or subject specialists? So should one become a generalist or an expert in certain fields via such chatbots?
Say that one more time. Oh, okay. Subject
Yeah.
specialist. Oh, okay. This is really interesting. I think it's a little bit of a balance of both, because one of the things that you'll learn when we talk about knowledge next time in context, you need domain expertise to have context, right? If you don't understand authors in your industry, if you don't understand the research of your industry, if you don't understand frameworks, you are vulnerable now to the information the AI is going to give you. So if I don't, like, for example, for me, this is why I use design thinking. But maybe, there's a lot of other methodologies and things like that that are out there that are very specific to different industries and different domains. And if I don't really know what those are, I can't tell my AI tool, use this framework in this way to do X, Y, Z. So I think it is a balance of both. A little bit of a generalist, but I do think right now that people that have domain expertise are going to have a huge advantage, because you will be the one in control. Now, where domain expertise can work against you is if you are not open to other things. A lot of times people that have high domain expertise, they also don't want to learn anything new. Like, no, it needs to always be this way. This is how I've always done it. So it's important to be open-minded with the domain expertise so that you can see connections. Oh yeah, we do this here, but now this could also be applied here. So for example, design thinking is not from education, right? Design thinking is like a business methodology. But when I look at education and I see how they struggle to adapt, I'm like, oh, this method over here can really help you over here if you make a few changes. But this is the human work, right? This is my idea. And now my AI tool can help me. Okay, how could I use design thinking for this? So a little bit of both, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah. So RFI, I think that problem happens a lot. I don't know if you're using the free version of ChatGPT, but this is another reason why I recommend Gemini, because that is true. It doesn't remember. But remember when I showed you the one that I made, we give it knowledge, right? So when you give it the knowledge, it's always using those documents and that data to be able to give you the answers that you need. So there's two tools that do this very well. One is Google Gemini when you make the gems, and the other one, honestly, even in ChatGPT, when you make GPTs, it will do it too. But the other one is Notebook LM. I don't know if you've seen that one, but Notebook LM are the two that do a really good job when it comes to making sure that happens. So we can also answer Maheen's question. You know, this is a really good example for Spark. So if you take that chatbot that I shared with you, let me get you the link again. Okay, so if I come here, and I would literally, Maheen, copy and paste exactly what you wrote and put it into the chat. And then it's going to start asking you questions and answer those questions. And you'll see you will get to some kind of answer. And then let us know in the next session what it came up with you. But what you said is exactly what Spark was built for, because that's what we have. We have questions. I have this. What do I do? Right? And you don't have to come up with that answer. Your AI tool will help you come with the answer. You just have to be the one to give it the details. So I would definitely try that scenario out with it. Hannah asked a really good question. What about Copilot? Copilot does it too. Copilot is expensive and it doesn't work as well. Not as many people use it. So this is another important thing to know. If only one person can use the teammate, it's kind of useless. Not like useless as maybe the wrong word, because it can help an individual. But again, I go back to Gemini. I go back to whatever your organization is using. So if your organization has invested in Microsoft beyond just the chatbot, and you do have the agents and all these different kinds of things. I mean, I showed you the document, right? Microsoft is the one that has the vision. Microsoft is the one that is like spelling this out the best. But your company would have to have invested in Microsoft, or your organization would have to have bought Microsoft for it to be built out in there. Because as we build these teammates, once you start building them, you will realize very quickly that if you can't share them, it's cool, but it's not going to give you that big change that we're hoping for in our schools and in our businesses, which is why I'll tell you the one that I use when I do ones like this, for example, where I built your one, right? I didn't build it inside, because right now in Gemini, you can't share them. They said it's changing, but next month they're going to give the sharing capability. In ChatGPT, I can share them, but this is one I use. It's called Chip AI. And what's cool about Chip AI, you can use any model. You can use ChatGPT, you can use Gemini, you can use Llama, like all the models, you can choose which one. Yeah, I mean, I think this is why I'm a really big believer in like the human element and how you keep involving humans as part of the process, because I think it's very, very, very easy, to your point, Abdullah, to let this go to AI. We'll let AI write it. We'll let AI do it. And AI is also really good at writing this. I'm going to share with you an episode. I was actually just watching this. Hold on a second, get the link. This is, if you are interested in this topic of critical thinking, AI, and the brain, this is the best episode on this topic that I've heard. It's 3 people. It's called Diary of a CEO. It really breaks down not just the impact of it on the brain, but what do we need to start doing to prevent this from happening, especially for young people.
I think Noor Shamas asked a question about are you transparent with your teachers about using Gemini to help you with this? And what is their response? Would you use Spark in the instruction section or use the Gemini tool to rewrite the instructions? When are the second and the third session? For the last question, I will ask Noor to follow our accounts on LinkedIn and Instagram, and also our website. We will announce there for the sessions. But you can
Yeah.
ask the first and second questions here.
Yeah, absolutely. The answer is 100% yes. Not only am I transparent with them, I teach them how to do it too. Like everybody should be doing this. Like if you're not doing this tomorrow, I literally tell my new teachers, you're going to be replaced. Like if you're going to try to do everything on your own, we've seen the past 20 years how unsuccessful we are in education. I mean, even if I think about your example, right? Like how do we increase student engagement? How many years do we want to keep asking this question, right? Like clearly, we don't have the time or the resources, even if we want to, which is why I go back to that beginning of the growth mindset. We want to do these things. We don't have the time and resources. So now if there is a tool, a teammate that can help us do what we do best, because again, AI can make the lessons, it can do all the things. You have to execute, right? You have to be the one to go and build the relationships, go and facilitate the experience, do all the things. So we have to get very clear about what work do we want humans to be doing and what work do we want AI to be doing. I tell my teachers, like, I do not want you in front of a computer all day long making slide decks so that you can just go to the students who are going to be bored with your Google slide presentations, because that's what everybody's doing. One presentation after another, maybe there's an activity or two. Kids are bored, right? They're so bored. So we need to really help people become more ambitious about what as a person you should be focused on and what your AI tool should be focused on. And now it's very freeing for us as well, gives us more meaning, more purpose. Nobody became a teacher to just lecture all day long, like off of a slide. AI can do that. YouTube can do that. So many places can do that. What is the value that you bring? And people, I think, enjoy that more too. But short answer, yes, I tell them and I teach them as well how to do this. Oh, that's a great summary, Farhan. Yeah, I can definitely share the social media. I think the easiest is probably if I just share, I can just share my website. And then at the bottom of my website, you can see all the links. So whatever social media you would think. Yeah, you know what's really interesting is Jeremy says something very similar. I'm really glad I have a book because it's like in my book from before, but like Jeremy has a video where basically he talks about AI as a teammate as well. He doesn't have, yeah, so yes. Basically. And you know what? You will see more and more and more people talk about this concept as time goes on. Because, everybody sort of, like I said, I started learning about this in 2017. So I spent a lot of time with AI researchers, AI scientists before anyone cared about ChatGPT. So at that time, you could talk to anybody. So I had a lot of, I was very lucky to have a lot of great mentors that really gave me time to think about the skills, about the design thinking and all these things. And so a lot of times, even now you hear people say it's not prompt engineering, it's context engineering. Give the AI context, because as the AI's reasoning abilities and thinking abilities become more advanced, our thinking abilities have to become more advanced as well. So it really is like, what should the AI do? What should the human do? But the biggest thing that's going to help you is when you actually create it. The best way to learn is to create and to build, right? So those three things, what teammates do you want to build? When you come to the second session, just bring even one idea and we will build it together, and then you'll see kind of what it's like to work. And a lot of these questions you're answering, you'll be able to answer from your experience as well. And teach other people too, hopefully. These are great questions. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Dr. Saba?
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for participating, Nora, and being the person to test this with. I mean, that's what people say. So that to Faraz's question, the future is impossible, a single CEO, a large, here's the thing. The answer to that question is on us. How much value do we really help people? How do we intentionally help people connect with other people and all those things? Honestly, like how much human involvement happens, this is really, really, really our responsibility right now to make sure humans are involved, they take initiative, they engage with their environment, because I don't think anyone wants a world where you have a single CEO and a bunch of AI agents, right? Like we want people to have a place in the world and have that identity.
Okay. Thank you all for attending this session. I think we can wrap it up here. Thank you, Dr. Saba, for this amazing session. And thank you all for attending this session with us. Hopefully you enjoyed this session and got informed on how to use AI as a teammate. Please follow us on all of our accounts and our website as well. We will announce there when will the second and third session be. Thank you all for attending. Have a great night or day.
All right, well, thank you so much. This was so nice. This is a great group you brought together.
Yeah.